The views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
You are now listening to the Allen and DJ Show on 103.5 FM WLSP-LP, Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. We're here to talk about self-improvement, lifestyle, and becoming the very best version of yourself.
You're now listening to the Allen and DJ Show.
Yo, 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 Milwaukee, Sun Prairie, and all the surrounding areas. Y'all know what time this is. Time for the Allen and DJ Show. And I'm Allen.
And this is your boy, DJ.
How you doing, DJ?
I'm doing good, man.
All right.
How you doing?
Not too good. You know, Bambi the deer got on me again today.
Really?
Yeah, she told me to expand my vocabulary. She said, I got a great friend for you today. I said, well, who is she? Please let me know. Because she was like, you need to start getting into the library more and start getting engaged with the community.
Okay.
So we have a very special guest here today. And what would your name may be?
My name is Shweta Hetzler.
How you doing, Sweta?
I'm good. I'm
there
good.
You go. So today is a very great topic because today we want to talk about libraries and how do they impact the community. And I feel like this is a great, very, very, very great subject for many people out there that need to know, like, hey, like, it's okay to go to the library because even though today we got smartphones and tablets and all that, but we got to get back to the old school way of doing things too. And I like that. So let's talk about bullet point number 1. And when you guys are like starting a library and having a library like successfully running, what about budget and finances? Like, how do you guys manage like I would say like the budget as far as like trying to really run a whole library?
Yeah, that's a great question. And like I said, my name's Shweta. I'm the library director here at Sun Prairie, so I'm
Nice.
so glad you invited me on your podcast.
For sure.
So library budgets, they don't work too differently, I would say, from other organizations. We have a budget for wages,
Nice.
salaries, and benefits, and that probably is, a good, for most libraries, anywhere from like 60 to 70% of your budget goes towards that. And obviously, we need our staff to
For sure.
provide all the services that we do. And then the next biggest chunk of our budget goes to the collection. So the library maintains obviously a collection of physical things.
Nice.
Many of those things are books, as you can imagine, but also things like DVDs, CDs. We have vinyl LPs in our
Nice.
library too, and other things that you might not think about at a library. Like we even have like bike locks that people can
Beautiful.
check out to safely secure their bikes while they're at the library and return, and then it gets rotated. But then we also offer programs at the library, so we include that in our budget. So there's
Okay.
a programming budget for talented artists to come in and
Nice.
perform at the library, for educational programs, all kinds of lifelong learning opportunities
I
in
love
different
that.
formats.
That's
Yep.
I do have a question.
Sure.
For all the programs that y'all run at the library, how much money, like a rough estimate of like how much would y'all need to carry out that particular plan for each program?
So are you thinking like a one-time program where we bring in a musician, for example?
Yeah.
That can vary. It depends on the talent, because if it's someone that's new and local, it might not be as much. It might be like, they come in for a 45-minute performance and,
Nice.
it's like $100, $150. But then if we're looking at a larger name, a name that's more well-known, $500
Okay.
for their performance. Sometimes it can be more. It depends. I mean, really well-known authors.
Yeah,
You're
for
talking
sure.
about thousands and thousands of
Okay.
dollars for a speaking engagement.
Okay.
So it can vary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, what about like signing, book signings and stuff like that? Do
Yeah.
y'all have that there too?
We do. So we invite authors. Sometimes we have authors that want to just come and donate their time because
okay.
they just love libraries. And
Oh,
we've
man,
had
that's really cool.
Yeah,
That's
we've
cool.
had authors come and do that, and then it can be a little bit of a fundraiser. So if they sell their books and sign the books, it might go to our friends or foundation organization.
Nice.
But well-known authors that aren't going to do it for free because they have to make a
Yeah.
living as well.
Yes.
Can range from like $5,000 to $10,000 to bring
Ooh.
in like a best-selling author.
Wow.
But it raises like
Yeah.
a lot of excitement for the community when you
Oh
do
yeah,
something like
most
that.
definitely. So
Yeah.
I would imagine that it worked both ways.
Yeah.
And I also have a question for you too. So how would you approach developing and managing like the library budget to ensure like significant resources for like all locations? I would say.
So you're talking about if we have, because we in Sun Prairie we're not that big. We're not like a Milwaukee.
Gotcha.
So we just are a single library here in
Okay.
Sun Prairie. So that's makes it a little less complicated because
sure.
all the resources go into the Sun Prairie Public Library. But that being said, you brought up a good point. We, being in Dane County, we work in partnership with other Dane County libraries, and
Nice.
sometimes that is for programs
Okay.
like we've talked about. So sometimes we'll go together as Dane County libraries and collectively get a $10,000 grant through the Beyond the Page program, and
Nice.
then we'll bring that presenter to all of the libraries that are collaborating on a
Okay.
project together. So,
So,
yeah.
Sounds good.
How much is that goes in? I mean, as far as like community wise, like how much is that community funded?
So we have, if you kind of think of a pie chart,
Yeah.
I would say about 70 to 73% of our budget comes from the city of Sun Prairie, and
Okay.
that's through the tax levy.
Nice.
So you
Got
get
it.
your tax bill every year, and all that comes through there. Then about 20 to 22% or so comes from Dane County reimbursement. So
Okay.
that comes from people that are not from Sun Prairie but live in Dane County but use the Sun Prairie Public Library. So we get people from the town of Bristol or from the east side of Madison.
Okay.
For sure.
Then there's a small percentage that comes from adjacent county, and then we get the rest of our funding from our friends and foundation, and they're nonprofit organizations that their sole purpose is to raise money for the library.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And bullet point one. So bullet point number 2. I want to talk about is staff management. And my question to you is I want to say describe your approach to as far as like staff development and how you foster a positive work environment within a library.
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's something that I think we spend a lot of time on
Nice.
in making sure that we have conversations with our staff. One thing that I do is I have weekly check-ins with the people that I directly supervise,
I love
so
it.
that I can, have conversations with them one-on-one, know more about their goals, and really. So I'm really keyed into their goals. I'm not just hearing about it once
Right.
a year at an evaluation. We're constantly having those conversations and
That's
can
good.
shift and grow
Absolutely.
and kind of see how everyone fits into the greater organization. So
For sure.
keeping in mind the mission, the vision, the values, and
Yeah.
giving them the tools that they need to grow themselves. And also realizing that sometimes with that growth might come a change in jobs, and sometimes that does happen, and
Nice.
you don't want to see anyone go, but sometimes that is just the nature of how things happen. But
I love it, and then I just wish more companies did that. Like instead of just evaluating somebody like once a year, just and viewers out there, listen to what she just said. Is key thing. She like to follow up every so often to see how you doing, where you at, and basically in so many words, like helping you get better.
Absolutely.
Like in your job task. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's good. It gets me to. It really helps me to get to know my staff
For sure.
in a deeper way, and understand their thought process.
I love it.
Yeah.
What is the hiring process when applying for the library, and what type of training do your staff go through when they get hired?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're a city department, so it's very much like the other city departments where our positions are posted on the city's website, but we also try to cast a wide net, and we work with our HR department to make sure that the position is posted not just on the city's website, but there's a lot of library listservs, so we use those.
Okay.
But
Love
then
it.
other non-library places for people to look for jobs, especially because the library is very committed to making sure we have a diverse applicant pool,
Yep.
knowing that diversity is going to bring more diversity of thought, which is
Yep.
going to probably be
Most
a
definitely.
more representative of the community.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing that we do. For professional librarian positions, we will be looking for someone with that master's degree in
Okay.
library science. But we have a lot of other positions at the library that don't require that degree, and that helps just widen the
Okay.
pool.
Nice.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, and there is definitely an orientation and an onboarding that happens for all staff. And it depends on the position how much training is involved, but we do have a professional development budget, so we can send staff for trainings, whether they're webinars or actual conferences or classes that we pay for.
Okay.
Oh, beautiful.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then my question for you is, how do you handle performance issues as far as like with staff members and let's say promote collaborations with within the team?
Yeah, no, that's great. We have a lot of different teams at the library that work on different projects together.
Nice.
So that's one way that's accomplished. Sometimes it's for programs that they might be presenting to the public, but sometimes it's just like an internal thing, like they're working on a collection development project together. We also have staff that work with other organizations outside of the library
Okay.
for other community events. So
Nice.
yeah, so that's really a fun way to get out more into
For
the
sure.
community.
How many staff work at the Sun Prairie Library currently, and what are the benefits that you offer the staff?
Yeah.
Like as far as like 401k and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Question, DJ.
we have 40 people
Okay.
that work at the library, but some are part-time, so that is 25 full-time equivalent.
Okay.
But less than half are full-time, but we've kind of been moving that needle over the years to get more full-time positions in.
Gotcha.
Full-time employees have medical health benefits, as well as a retirement plan through the Wisconsin retirement system, which is a
Okay.
really good benefit.
Beautiful.
Obviously, sick leave and vacation time. Our part-time employees also get prorated benefits, so
Okay.
they have prorated health care and benefits and vacation and sick leave. And if you work 24 hours a week, that's kind of the threshold to get you into the Wisconsin retirement system. We have quite a few staff that also work at 24 hours. So
Oh, beautiful. Wow,
Yeah,
I
like
that.
the only reason why I ask is because every job is different as far as like the benefits that they offer.
Yeah.
Like some, if you're only part time, they don't offer nothing,
right.
and that's a good benefit that y'all got. That part time workers do still get benefits.
Yes, we do. Yeah. You have to work at least 20 hours to get the health and
Okay.
vacation and sick leave benefits. We have some staff that work at 16 hours, and those positions don't come with benefits. So if
Okay.
you're
Gotcha.
under 20
Gotcha.
hours, there aren't any benefits.
That's
Gotcha.
understandable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And bullet point number 3, I want to talk about community engagement. So my question to you is, what methods do you use to actively engage with the community as far as understanding their needs and incorporating them into the library programming?
Yeah, that's a great question. One way that I'm really proud of the way we engage is we have a committee called the Community Advisory Committee.
Nice.
And they specifically work with us to examine what we're doing and to give us advice, but very specifically through the lens of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And we try to get diverse perspectives so that, it could be something like a library policy.
For sure.
And looking at that, but programs as well, and collections, and just sharing information. And, because historically in libraries, the things that we have in libraries are librarians plan it and present it. And it's through the librarian's view, and which is fine, but what are we missing when we do it that way? And having that community advisory committee really helps us
I agree.
examine things from a different point of view.
Love it.
Love it. Okay. How does the library impact the community? And also I wanted to ask that I know you got do y'all have volunteers that actually come to the library to help you guys out, or as far as carrying out your particular mission?
Yes to both.
Okay.
So repeat that first question for me again.
How does the library help impact the community?
Yes, so the library helps impact the community. It's just, to me, one of the only places that, first of all, it's open 7 days a week.
Okay.
Throughout the year.
Okay.
It's free.
Okay.
You can come in there and do a variety of things. You obviously come in there to read. Especially since COVID, many people are coming in there to work and study, especially people that are working remotely. People are coming in there to connect digitally for telehealth appointments, things like that.
Okay.
Job interviews, workforce development. It's a place where people access technology, obviously all of the information and materials, and it's a place where you can come to for trusted information.
Yep.
I think that can't be overstated, because
Okay.
there's a lot of misinformation out there, and a public library is a very trusted place.
Yeah.
It's a place for lifelong learning for all ages, all stages, all backgrounds.
Love
And
it.
sometimes it's just a place where people can go to if they just need some solitude, but they
Yeah.
want to be but they still want to be part of the community. And it's
Okay.
a place where you can do all of that. So I think the impact is huge, and it's a place that, for many people, it's kind of what we call the third space. There's home and school and work, and
Yep.
then this is that other space.
Okay.
As far as volunteering, yes, we have a lot of volunteers at our library, over 200 volunteers.
Oh, wow.
We have teen volunteers.
beautiful.
Yeah, we have teen volunteers that are sixth graders all the way through high school. And then we have a lot of adult volunteers. And I think it's where a lot of our active retirees find purpose.
Okay.
And it's a way for the community to give back, stay involved, stay engaged, and they help us meet our mission of being a place for lifelong learning.
Make your job a lot easier.
They
Yes, it
make our
does.
job a lot easier, and it's just another way, as you were saying, Alex, of Alan, connecting to the community, because
Yeah.
we'll hear from them just,
Right.
in a conversation of what they're looking for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. And then my second question to you, as far as community engagements. So how do you plan to reach the undeserved populations and ensure that the library is accessible to all community members?
Wow, that's a really good question, because that has also not always been the case. And Sun Prairie is growing in diversity, but there's also a pretty big spectrum in socioeconomic opportunities
Right.
for people here. And in 2019, we partnered with the Dane County Library Service and started bringing out the Dream Bus, which is a mobile library service. So that Dream Bus goes out to historically underserved and underrepresented communities to bring public library service to them and just introduce the library to them so that they feel welcome. They feel like the library belongs to them because
Nice.
it does, and encourage them to come back and find other things at this library while also getting the Dream Bus service.
Okay.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it.
So, you had any more questions on
No,
that, DJ?
no,
Okay.
no.
Then we'll go to bullet point number 4. Talk about technology and intervention. So, my first question to that would be, how would you leverage technology to enhance library services to adapt to involvers' users' needs?
Yeah, that's a great question because, like, technology, whether you like it or not, it is here.
Yes, here.
and you, and because of that, I'm sure you guys know there is a real digital divide in this country, and
Yeah.
it's just growing.
Yeah.
So if you don't have access to technology,
You'll be lost in the sauce.
you are lost. And I think that is where the public library's role is to help bridge that digital divide, to provide digital literacy tools, to
Nice.
give people equipment and access in a way that's safe, and also in a way that they can learn and connect with library staff that can help them understand how to use technology. I think that's also very important.
Beautiful.
And a lot of people come into the library knowing how to use technology, but they may not be able to afford it. A lot of people have a phone,
Yeah.
but not everyone has a desktop computer
Yeah.
or a laptop. And if you're working on a resume or a job application and you try to do it on your phone,
It's not gonna.
it's
Yeah.
really hard,
Yeah, it
is.
you know, and I think that's something that the library really helps to provide. We also, believe it or not, have fax machines, and a lot of people wonder, do people still fax? And yes,
Yes,
they
they
do.
do.
For anything that you need that is government related, whether
Sure.
it's like if you're facing housing security or food insecurity or employment,
Yeah.
you need to fax everything to these agencies, and people use that service a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, what type of technology advances have been made to improve the library?
Well, we're working on, besides like kind of what we talked about with, like, you know, PCs and
Yeah.
computers and printers, we have early literacy stations for youth, and the library is currently expanding. We're constructing an addition and renovating, and we're going to have a maker space called the Mixer in the
okay.
library, and that's going to have access to a lot of technology tools to support kind of a modern library. So
Okay.
we're working with the Media Center, actually, and there's going to be some recording studios in there
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
recording equipment. But we'll also have, things like 3D printers, laser cutters,
Ooh.
technology
okay.
that no one's going to have in their home.
Yeah.
But that's
I
where
like
the
that.
library would come in to help people learn
Yeah.
and also use to, support their own creativity and discovery.
Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful. And getting off into bullet point number 5, I want to talk about programming and outreach.
Yeah.
So what is the criteria you guys use to develop priorities for like new library programs and like events?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're always looking to see what else we want to do. There's things that are really popular that, if we stop doing them, there would be
Yeah.
complaints. So we don't do that. And plus, they're very rewarding. And those are things like story times and book clubs. It's kind of like the
Oh, yeah.
library's bread and butter. But there's always new programs. Sometimes it's just actually we're close to our colleagues in the region, and someone might say, I had this great presenter at my library, and we get recommendations that way, and we share recommendations that way. So there's just a lot of learning that goes on. As a library in the South Central Library System, there's a cohort of programming librarians that do get together and
Beautiful.
do some brainstorming for programs. We get community input too as to what they would like to see. So there is a little bit of a formula because we do know like what programs we're going to want to offer every month,
Right.
how many. So, so there's a little bit of scheduling logistics that also go into
And a
it.
key thing that you said too, that you guys get like the community involved and get their like input as well, because that's the most biggest and most important thing. It's like, okay, this is what we like to input, but want to get y'all input as well, because then it makes everybody feel like, okay, like we actually a part of this.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Something that's been really popular over the years are cooking programs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone loves the cooking program, so we bring in chefs, and
Nice.
that's something we'll be able to do more in our makerspace too. We're excited
Love it.
about that.
Do you guys have an outreach program, like a program where like y'all can reach people that still want to learn and educate themselves but don't have the funds to do so?
Yeah. Well, that's the great thing about the public libraries. Everything we offer is free. There's no charge, and actually that's mandated by state statutes.
Okay.
Libraries can't charge for programs. So obviously we offer a lot of programs at the library, and staff do go out into the community. Our youth services staff goes out into and reaches kids at Head Start programs, as well as classrooms and throughout the school district. And our adult librarians actually go out to a couple of senior apartment centers, especially for those seniors that are not able to get out and visit the library. The library can come to them, and then we're looking at a home delivery service too to start into next year. And then and as far as bringing programs out into the community, as long as there's a venue, we could definitely consider it. But that gets a little trickier.
Yeah.
But,
Finding the space and all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but we can definitely bring library services out to communities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, Sun Prairie Library do a lot. I love it. I love it. So my second question for programming and outreach is, how would you use your assets and success of the library programs to make adjustments based on the data and feedback?
Yeah. So we go through a strategic planning process. So we we typically do a 3-year strategic plan, and all of that is based exactly on what you said, like the data that we gather of what we're doing, but also comparing it to what's happening regionally as well as nationally to see what the benchmarks are, because there's always going to be a gap, and how do we fill that gap? Right. And then there's also just the reality of what the capacity is for our library based on staff and schedules and all of that. So trying to find that sweet spot.
Nice. And, one thing I like, too, is the little ways that y'all always keep trying to get better. And that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Like, if there's a gap, like, how can we improve to just keep going up a notch and a notch and a notch but further? So I like it. But I got another bullet point that I want to bring up is crisis management. So describe a challenging situation that you might have faced previously in the library. Let's say, like, the role of how you would effectively address it. So, like, something significantly happened, like, how would you address the situation?
Yeah, we definitely have emergency procedures in place, and that's part of what we do with staff development. We might bring public safety in to help us, navigate if we had a situation like, whether it's active threat situation or a fire or weather emergency. But pointing again to our expansion project, what we're really excited about is that we will be serving as a community resiliency center. So
Beautiful.
If there is like an extreme weather event, for example, and the power goes out in a neighborhood or maybe even for the entire city, the library could be a place for people to come in because we'll have a microgrid system that will keep the power on.
Okay.
And so people can connect to, obviously, for their information, their phones, their devices. But even more importantly, it's a place where they could meet with public safety personnel, get good resources and good information. We'll have refrigeration for people to keep their medications safe, milk,
Beautiful.
also, and then plug-in loads for medical devices. People that need to plug in for an oxygen would be able to safely
that's
come
a good
here.
one.
And obviously heating and cooling.
Yeah.
So, so I think we think about emergencies a lot. Unfortunately, it's,
Yeah.
I think, what many organizations have to think about.
For sure.
And, yeah.
Appreciate it.
So, basically, like, when it comes down to executing, like, your strategy plan, like, when it comes down to the budget, basically, what I want to say is, like, how do you execute your strategy plan when budget cuts are involved?
Yeah, that's a great question. Luckily, we haven't faced a budget cut, but we have faced challenges where we're not going to get all of the requests that we put forth.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's the reality. So, like I said, we do have a strategic plan, and based on that strategic plan, we create an annual work plan. And that is dictated by the resources we have. So,
Nice.
if we were faced with budget cuts, I guess it would depend on what we were cutting.
Okay.
If we're cutting services, that's one thing. If we're cutting staff, that's kind of another thing. That would be more significant for sure, because cutting
Yeah.
staff would inevitably cut services, possibly even hours of operation. So,
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Luckily, knock wood, I haven't had to face that.
Okay.
Knock on wood. I appreciate
Yes.
it. and then my question for you when it comes to strategy planning, how do you envision like the future of the library as far as like strategy goals and prioritizing the goals for the library even within like the next couple of years?
Yeah, this is an exciting time to be part of the Sun Prairie Public Library, because the addition will be complete in June 2025, and then we start with the renovation of
Nice.
the existing library, and that will be done in the spring of 2026.
Okay.
We are going to have this amazing outdoor amphitheater, so I envision outdoor programming, and that is it's going to be a very unique space, and really is going to put Sun Prairie Public Library as like a library that will be extremely unique to this region. The maker space is
Okay.
going to
Yeah.
have a lot of really great new opportunities for STEM and art and creativity.
Beautiful.
And we're going to have this beautiful atrium space that will be just off of our large community room
Yeah.
for community gathering
Okay.
activities, and possibly even supporting before and after hours access. So we're going to have so many more discussion and study rooms to support people that are working and studying remotely. So it's just going to be a space where our collections are going to just really be able to shine as well. I think something that we talked about was how it's so great for libraries to be around and for people to still have access to those printed materials, such as our books. But right now, it feels a little bit more like a warehouse, like it's
Okay.
hard to find things. And now with the new shelving and new displays, we're going to be able to display stuff. People can easily find what they're looking for. And sometimes people are looking for things that might feel more sensitive to them, so they might not want to ask, but they
Right.
might be able to see it and find it. And just being able to reflect our community more fully all year round, so
Absolutely.
that we're not just celebrating an identity during a specific heritage month. We
Yeah.
can say,
Nice.
let's
Nice.
celebrate you all year.
Got you. Basically, how long would it take y'all to execute that plan roughly?
I think what we're looking at, so we have, like I said, we have a strategic plan, and we have our work plan for 2025 and actually even into 2026, keeping
Okay.
the expansion in mind. And I think after the expansion is done, we'll probably do like a pretty robust strategic planning process where we'll go ahead and begin with those community focus groups again and listening sessions, so we can get that feedback to
Beautiful.
create
Gotcha.
another 3-year strategic plan, because it's going to feel so different with all of these new opportunities, and we'll want to
Absolutely.
make sure to fully realize those opportunities and
Absolutely.
make sure we're hearing from everyone as to what they would like to see. I think staff will definitely have ideas and some great ideas, and we might even build those into some of the questions to get the juices flowing and thoughts flowing from the community. But yeah, so I think after the library's completely ready and open in 2026, probably we'll take 2026 and a good chunk of 2027 to meet with community, get that data and benchmarks from other communities and put them into a planning document.
Got it.
So that we can execute it, start executing in 27, 28.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it. And the last bullet point I want to talk about is library trends and issues. So, what are the most significant current trends that is impacting libraries today? Like, how would it address them in the community as far as like the new trends that is going on today?
Yeah. So it's kind of like what we see at the library, is a lot of people coming in to develop skills. And so, I think people traditionally think of literacy as learning to read. And that certainly is that. But there's all kinds of literacy, like we talked about, like digital literacy and health literacy and financial literacy. So the library is a place where people are coming in for that. Language literacy, so people that are new to this country that English may not be their native language. They're coming in to work on that skill. So it's a place where people really are working on career readiness as well.
Sure.
So workforce development is a big trend in libraries, and libraries support that. Another big trend with public libraries is partnerships, so working with the particularly social service organizations that can carve out time, and we're hoping that that's going to be a thing with more discussion rooms. So social service organizations might book a room for a day, and that's where they might meet with residents to support them and help everyone thrive and do better.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Love it. What are some of the issues that the library face? And let me give you an example real quick before you answer. An example would be like the library that I go to back in Milwaukee, they have a homeless population issue where like we see a lot of homeless people around the library and some even in the library. And y'all might not face that particular issue, but what other issues do y'all face?
Yeah, actually, we do face that issue. We do find people, probably not as many as in an urban setting like Milwaukee, but we definitely have unhoused patrons that come to our library, and sometimes they're just using the library as a place to feel safe, to get warm or cool. Sometimes there are some patrons that will ask us to keep their things for them.
Okay.
So that is a challenge because we can't really do that. We can't just keep people's material, their life belongings at the library. Otherwise, we'd have no space for anything else.
Absolutely.
So, and sometimes patrons may, they may not intend to cause harm, but they might solicit other people for things, whether it's food or money. So that's something that that actually does happen here too.
Okay,
And I
okay.
think that's maybe just a sign of the times of people having hard times. But we're well connected with other social service organizations, so
Gotcha.
we can connect those patrons with resources that can better help them. The challenge for us, I will say, is evenings and weekends, because people that really need to connect to resources may not get connected on those days or in the evening. So that's something that we as a library are challenged with. And also we're library staff, so we don't necessarily have all of the skills that a social worker would have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, so we always used to call it the Alan and DJ's final thought, but we want to get your final thought as far as if if I would just move into Sun Prairie, why would I want to come to Sun Prairie Library? And then also let them know where they can find you
Yes.
as well.
I would think you would want to come to the Sun Prairie Public Library for so many reasons. If you're an extrovert, it's a great way for you to meet other people in the community and
Nice.
connect with them. If you're an introvert, it's a great place to find some solitude. Obviously, if you love to read, it's a great place to find like the greatest collection of books. If you like to listen, or if you enjoy movies, you're a movie buff, it's a place to get those materials. There's so many programs for so many interest levels, so many age groups, and I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't want to come to the library. Whether you're a sports nut, you're going to find material there. Whether
Nice.
you love to cook, you're going to find material there. There's really something for everyone, and it's free, so it doesn't cost you a dime.
And where can they find you as far as like maybe like business wise, like social media platforms? Or
Yeah,
anything
the
like that?
easiest way to find me is you can go on the library's website, which is sunlibrary.org, and you can find my contact information. Email is
Nice.
probably the best way to get a hold of me.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that ends our conclusion for the Alan and DJ show. You can find us on the Alan and DJ show on YouTube, and you can also find us on our fan page at the Alan and DJ show on Facebook. And you can also find us at alananddj@gmail.com if you have any questions. And you can find my personal Facebook page, Alan Hutchinson, on Instagram and Facebook, and William J. Smith on Instagram and Facebook. And until next time, let's step our reading games up.
Absolutely.
We gotta stay off of AI. Let's get back to the old way of doing things, but a little bit of technology as well. But just stay well, stay healthy.
Peace.